Hello, welcome back. We have another CarPlay video. Well, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. So obviously, I've already done a review of several units, including the Carplay and the OX, the Jiggy. Recently, a company called Aoocci, hopefully I'm getting that right, reached out and asked if I'd like to review their latest unit, the C9 Max. Initially, I was thinking I've done quite a few of these already. However, this unit has the front and rear cameras. So obviously I said yes. They did send me the unit for free, so thank you very much for that. However, they have no say in my review. My thoughts are my own. Excuse how I sound. I sound worse than usual. I'm recovering from COVID, which has been going on for nearly two weeks now. So yeah, they sent me the unit. It includes the unit, front and rear cameras, and also tire pressure sensors. Now, my bike, the R1300 GS, already has them built in, but I'm gonna fit them anyway. See how they compare. But hopefully this video will be a little bit more in depth with the features of the unit. Especially, I'm really incredibly curious to find out about the front and rear cameras. How good they are, especially at night. I do a fair amount of riding in the evening, as usually when I'm doing the blood biking. So it will be interesting to see how that goes. So one thing I want to mention before I continue, if you have time, please check out my good friend Neil's channel, NJW Moto, NJWMOTO. He's a great guy. He's recently done a comparison between the Carplay and the Jiggy, and he's done a few other videos when it comes to using spanners and sockets and tools and anything like that. He is a far greater person than me. I'm good at pushing a mouse and keyboard around the desk all day. When it comes to the more mechanical side of things, I'll leave that to sort of people in more in the know like him. So yeah, if you get a chance, please check out his channel, NJW Moto. I'll leave a link down in the description. And also, if this sort of content, I realize I've done quite a lot of CarPlay videos recently. Tech is my thing. Hopefully in the future I'll get the once we get into the new year and the weather starts to improve, hopefully I'll get hopefully I'll get the chance to review a slightly wider selection of accessories. But like I say, if you enjoy this sort of thing, and you don't mind listening to my voice, hitting that like and subscribe button is incredibly useful. I think there's been a pretty big uptake in subscribers recently, so thank you very much for that. And I think that is directly responsible for me being able to review some of these units. So yeah, much appreciated. Okay, so let's get to a quick unboxing. I won't take too long on this. My ability to do interesting unboxing videos is very limited. See if I can get a bit of extra light here. Okay, so I will confess I have already had all of this out because I wanted to have a look at how I was going to power it. So we have a very minimal manual. Okay, and then we have the actual unit itself. with the three wires. This one will be for power, and these two will be for the front and rear cameras. Some people may say, oh, but they're plastic. Well, considering the price point on this, that's hardly surprising, and not really something that would actually put me off. So that's the actual unit itself. On the back, quite a sturdy metal mount. We'll have a look at that a bit more. In fact, let's pop this out now, because I've been waiting to do this. Let's pull that through, and then let's do a little peel. There we go. I made that look incredibly difficult. Anyway, so here we have the unit. Like I say, a very sturdy looking mount on it. Now, I do notice that it says that it's the D8 Pro, which I'm not sure what that means, because on the front of the box, it says C9 Pro, D8 Pro. So I don't know, that maybe that's a Chinese region only product. I'm not sure. Anyway, so that mount looks very sturdy. Under there, I'm going to assume, not going to take that out right now, but I'm going to assume that there's a pre-installed SD card in there. No external buttons to speak of. So let's leave that to one side for a minute. And this is the part that I have already had out, I will happily confess. So let's move that, shall we? So in here we have the mount, which I'll go into more detail in a moment. The bag for the actual cameras, tire pressure sensors, A and B. I'm going to assume A is the front wheel, B is the rear. Some tools and some extra mounting hardware, and a little screwdriver for the SD card slot. And then these, I believe these are something to do with the valve caps. I'll have to read the instructions. Now, in terms of powering the unit, this is where I've already jumped ahead, because you don't get a USB lead with it. It says in the manual it's not advised to try to power this off of USB, which, given the front and rear cameras, is probably advisable. So what I've already done, because I wasn't sure how I was going to power this, because it obviously needs an accessory live rather than a permanent feed. What I've done, if I can get this around to show you, is it's a bit Heath Robinson in there, but I've mounted this into an adapter that actually plugs into the original nav cradle socket. So like I say, I've just put the extra wire in there. I don't know if this is going to be a permanent install, but there's the other end of the power, and at some point I'm going to route that through, try to tidy that up. So moving back over to what's in the box, I'll tell you what, let's have a look at the mount first, because I have already had a gander at this. So what you get is a metal mount, which obviously bolts on to the back of the unit here and bolts directly to the bars. Now, the thing I like about this is a lot of these units come with RAM mount, just, literally a ball on the back, and then you have to start buying extra adapters and things like that. Now, the one thing I do wish a lot of these companies would do is change this for a standard amps, hole pattern, which would make life a lot easier. You'd have a lot more flexibility. Now, that's not just a criticism of Aoocci. That's right across the board. It would be nice if this was the amps pattern. It would open up a whole world of extra flexibility for mounting on different bikes. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, so this obviously comes with these little plastic inserts. Now, for the BMW, the nav bar is 12 millimeters, which I believe these two inserts are for. So once it's actually mounted on the bike, I'll obviously show you, but if effectively this is going to go here, get it in shot, and then I'll be able to either obviously, you know, adjust it in every angle. So quite looking forward to that. So let's leave that in there and let's have a quick look at the cameras themselves. So more mounting hardware, some sticky pads, which I will probably use. Now these are actually metal housings, not plastic ones. Not really a great deal I need to sort of say about these. They're cameras. So I don't think I really need to go into too much else about what comes into the box. Let's get it mounted. Like I say, I'm not going to film that part because this is going to be a bit of a semi-permanent install. If it turns into a more permanent install, obviously I'll do a separate video about that. But yeah, let's get it mounted, because the thing is I can't actually power this up and show you it working until I've got it wired up and mounted on the bike. So let's do that. Here is the unit all installed. Like I said, I wasn't going to do an installation video because I've effectively just wired it in very loosely, you know, cable tied it all up here. Front camera runs down to here. Tire pressure monitor down here, already installed those. And then basically the wiring, I've just gone down the side of the bike, you know, under the seat, and then effectively out from under the back seat, and then I've mounted the rear camera there. So I've already done the ride video because the weather for today is awful. So let's breeze through the OS on this. So here is the Aoocci C9 Max. Now, one thing I forgot to mention in the unboxing, you actually get a GoPro mount that you can put on here. There's basically two bolts on the back. You sort of take a little cover off, and then you mount this piece on there, and that allows you to mount a GoPro or any other action camera on there. So this is the main interface of the Aoocci. Quite a simple home screen. We have, you know, system info, including the tire pressure status, the option for the phone link, the actual dash cam, the settings, and obviously to look at our footage after the fact. Let's just have a quick look in the settings. So link show, you know, as you'll see in the ride video, this basically allows you to use the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto in full screen, or have either the front or rear cameras in a little bar here, which not very useful for me, but it's nice. It's nice that you can do that. So also obviously time settings, not going to spend too long on that. That's pretty straightforward. Tire pressure settings, we'll go through that more in a minute. Language, time format, screensaver is off. I have no need to have that on, but you can if you want. The option for the Bluetooth, nothing paired to it right now. And then over here we have the options to format the SD card that comes supplied with it. Do a factory reset, touch unlock, long press on the recorder interface and the lock. Okay, I must admit I didn't use that, so that will be good if it's raining and you're sort of getting false, you know, inputs. Would have been nicer if it was a physical button sort of here, or on the side, but it's good that it is good that you can do that. and then obviously version. Now, I did say in my I say in my ride video a little bit later on about the app called Vidure, and I spelt it Vidure. It's actually Viidure, but if you scan that QR code, that will take you to the App Store and you can install that app. Okay, so let's try and pair the tire pressure sensors, because I did have a little bit of issue with this. You know, obviously you can set, you know, high and low and the units, but let's start the pairing process. This didn't work for me the first time and I had to do a couple of tries at it. I've reset the unit obviously to film this segment, but let's see what happens. It does work. I think there is a pairing process, but unfortunately that pairing process is not in the instructions. I think this is a me problem rather than an Aoocci problem, because like I say, I have had it working. Aha, there we go. So you have to actually screw it on while it's doing it. So there we go, finally. That was a little bit of a faff, but it appears as though you have to screw them on while the pairing is in process. So anyway, so we have that now, that's fine. 32 front, 36 rear, seems a bit low. I will check that at some point, but because these should be 36 and 42, but the bike has been standing for a while. Let's go into here and see the cameras. So obviously we have, you know, front and rear dual screen. There's the front, there's the rear. Don't worry about the lines, that's just because of the rear. That's because of the frame rate and the LED rear lights on this bike. So, you know, obviously we have the option to start and stop the recording. We have the option to take a photograph. We can lock a recording, turn the built-in microphone on and off. You can swipe on the screen and switch the cameras, but while riding, I prefer this. What does that option do? That option takes us straight into the files. There we go. There's a video of me riding yesterday. Okay, so, and then we can go into the settings and we can mirror the rear camera if we need to. Change the loop recording settings. I think I prefer that on 3-minute blocks rather than 1 minute. Recording settings. I don't actually know what that means, but it has a microphone option on it. So resolution full HD, and I have confirmed that it is 1920 by 1080p. Date watermark on. Yep, for evidential purposes. Go back out to the main menu. Right, let's get my phone paired. What I'll do, I'll start screen recording. It's not exactly the most exciting process, but I'll stick that up on the screen now. So go in here, iPhone, so Wi-Fi video, okay. I think that is to review the videos over Wi-Fi. So let's go into this and let's set up my phone. Like I say, I'll stick up the screen mirroring on the screen anyway, so you can see it. There we go. Connect to Apple CarPlay, and there we go. Straight into Apple CarPlay. And you know, as I said on the as I said on the ride video later on, the screen is incredibly sharp and incredibly bright. Really, I'd say that's probably the standout feature on this. And then we can go back into there. And we can also, from here, we can go into this little accessibility dot, and we can either change the brightness, for night use. It doesn't appear to have an ambient light sensor built in, sadly. We can change the volume, go straight into the camera, and then we can go straight back into Apple CarPlay. So let's watch some of the ride. Let's watch some of the ride footage. I'll obviously get to my final thoughts.
Hello and welcome back to the video. Apologies if I sound like I'm sniffing a lot. It is getting cold here in England, and I'm still recovering from COVID. But I wanted to get out when the light wasn't that sort of great. See what the unit's like. I have to say, considering the price point, the screen is incredibly bright and contrasty. I don't think the weather in England is going to allow me to try this in incredibly bright sunlight, but sort of given how bright it has got already, I don't think there's going to be an issue there. I'm wearing my winter Alpine Stars gloves, and because the screen is new, it probably needs a clean. There's a bit of residue still on it, but as you can see, it works absolutely fine. I can go into Google Maps, etc. Go back out to there. Let's go to the cameras. I'll obviously overlay some of the video while I'm riding, but there is the front and rear view. One of the things I wanted to talk about is I think a lot of people see the prices of units like these, and I think this at the moment is on offer for £175, and I think it's like anything. They say, well, cheaper is worse, and I do think sometimes you do get what you pay for, but I also think sometimes prices are overinflated. But so far with this, I had I can't remember what brand it was, but I had a very cheap Apple CarPlay unit a couple of years ago. I think it was about £130, and it was awful. And it was literally the embodiment of buy cheap, buy twice. However, so far for the price of this, this is near enough the same price as I paid for my 7-inch carplay, which is a great unit, don't get me wrong, but let me try and get my visor up. There we go. It's a great unit, but I would argue the carplay that I have, the screen is not as bright or as sharp as it is on this. I'm genuinely shocked. I have to say, I didn't think they could pack this much in for that price. Build quality, hard to say. It feels very well made. It's a mixture of some sort of alloy and obviously plastic, and you can see where some of the corners have been shaved, shall we say. The fixings for the cameras, they're plastic instead of metal. The actual camera bodies are metal. The connectors for the power and for the cameras, they don't have, they're obviously plastic as well, and don't have metal on them. But again, you would expect that if you're sort of paying £400 in that region, but for £175, I don't think that's really something that you need to worry about. Now, one thing I did notice there, so Aoocci don't have their own app, but you can, and I won't claim to have known this myself. I think I saw this, I think it was, you know, somebody like Richie Vida or Lamb Chop. In terms of getting the footage off the SD card without having to remove it, Aoocci don't have their own app. However, there is an app. I'll put a link in the description. I don't know if there's an Android version of it, but there is an iOS version called, and I believe from memory the name of it is Vidure, Vidure. And it just links over Wi-Fi. You can see all of the files. I'll stick an overlay up now on the screen, you know, showing me using it. And what you'll notice is each of the files has either an F or an R at the end, which is obviously front and rear. And they are also in a format that a lot of people probably won't have heard of, called which is TS. And that I remember back from the days of I believe it's an MPEG format. I'll have a look afterwards, but I think that you can possibly rename the files to MP4. Don't quote me on that. I will correct myself or not. Yeah, there we go. Waze has switched over to night view.
So, final thoughts then. What are my recommendations? Would I buy this? Should you buy it? Been thinking long and hard about that, because I have now reviewed, I think this will be my 4th or 5th motorcycle CarPlay / Android Auto unit that I've reviewed. And, you know, what I don't want to do is sound like a broken record and every single video, this is brilliant, you should go and buy it. Obviously, it's not lost on me that we get these sent to us free, which I did. No one's telling me what I can and can't say, but obviously I have a discount code down in the description. I believe it's 22% off if you use my code, the Stammering Biker. So obviously I get a small kickback out of that. So it's obviously in my interests to encourage you to go out and buy this. However, I want to be as completely open and honest and transparent as I can be. So my final thoughts are, would I spend, I think this is currently £172 or something like that, at least in English money. I think maybe $219. Would I go out and spend my own money on, you know, on this? The answer is, you know, absolutely yes. I've paid a similar amount of money for a unit with a worse screen. I say worse screen, not as bright and sharp and clear and contrasty a screen, and with less features. Reasons that I would say buy this. The standout feature of this, in my opinion, is the screen size, the widescreen format, the screen brightness, the contrast. It's very, very sharp. For a unit that is on the sort of mid-range in terms of price, the screen for me is the part that I thought would be the most disappointing, and it's actually turned out to be the absolute best. The fact that it has front and rear cameras that are 1080p, that from the footage that I've seen in an evidential, you know, situation where you have an accident and there's, you know, some need to, you know, establish blame, the camera quality is absolutely fine. I don't have a reference point for, say, the cameras that you can get with other units or the Inov units, as I've not actually tried those, but the footage is perfectly usable for those purposes. In the time riding with it, which, you know, admittedly, like a lot of these units, isn't a lot. However, it's never dropped out, it's never crashed, rebooted, failed to respond. It's given me no issues at all. Biggest issue I've had with it, if you want to call it that, is getting the tire pressure sensors to pair and also trying to find a way to power it. But that last reason is not the fault of the Aoocci. That is the fact that trying to get a 12 volt accessory, you know, feed on one of these, you know, CAN bus bikes can be a little bit difficult. Reasons not to buy it. Well, there's really only one. If you want the absolute, you know, premium, the top of the cream of the crop, you know, regular updates, and more integration with the actual motorcycle itself, then you're going to have to spend more money. If you just want an Apple CarPlay unit or Android Auto with cameras, with a good screen that you can use every day for touring, I would absolutely recommend this. I am genuinely blown away at the quality of the, you know, screen. I don't know how well it will come across on the videos, but the screen really has impressed me. I would say in terms of the clarity, the sharpness, and the richness of the colors, it's probably up there with the sort of Chiggy. The Chiggy is smoother because it has the 60 FPS you know, mirroring. However, the price difference is pretty substantial, so I think we can forgive it for that. If this stays on the bike, I will do a more detailed install of routing the wires, but yeah, absolutely blown away by it. For the value for money, I think there is a couple of things that I would like to see from Aoocci. So not necessarily criticisms or, you know, bad points, but just some feedback. Is I would like to see a more detailed manual included with it, or links to their website that have more sort of detailed instructions, maybe some installation videos, etc. There doesn't appear to be any software updates that I can see either on the website or that you can do in the unit itself. Not an issue right now as it's working fine, but I think being able to provide updates without having to email support, etc., like you do for other units, would be a good way forward. Aside from that, the only other thing I would say is the mounting bracket for it. Very flexible. It will mount to different types of bars because of the little inserts that I showed during the unboxing video. That makes it more flexible than others that I've used that just have a sort of, you know, 1-inch ram mount ball, which on my bike makes it incredibly difficult to mount on the nav bar. I would like Aoocci and other manufacturers to adopt the standard amps pattern, as there's tons of adapters out there for different applications, and I really do think that would make it a lot easier to install on a lot more bikes, a lot more flexible. However, I will say the included mount with this is probably the most versatile that I've seen. However, that said, if you wanted to if you had an existing RAM mount, you know, set up on your bike, this doesn't have the ability to mount on to that, at least that I can see. So it's horses for courses. So yeah, I think if you don't want to spend a lot of money and you want a decent screen, you know, dual cameras, and you know something that is easy to use, I would absolutely recommend this. Anyway, enough of me waffling on. Thank you for watching. Please do hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this. It really is helping the channel to grow, and I think from the support that I've had so far, that's what's actually given me the chance to be able to review the sort of units for you. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.